If you spent iPhone 17 Pro money and your phone literally changed color in your pocket, you already know why this is such a bad look for Cupertino. And what's wild is it wasn't even a drop test problem. It was a finish problem. The kind of thing that turns a premium daily driver into a meme overnight. Now there's a new supply chain rumor saying Apple's iPhone 18 Pro could fix the iPhone 17 Pro's weird discoloration issue with a new aluminum refining process. And honestly, I want to believe it, but I also need Apple to prove it. Let's rewind for a second. The iPhone 17 Pro lineup did what Apple does best: insane demand. Locked-in ecosystem upgrades, and that typical Apple tax that people still pay because massage. AirPods pairing, Apple Watch unlock, and the whole seamless integration thing is just hard to leave. But then Colorgate popped up. Not every unit, not every color, but enough reports especially around that loud cosmic orange style finish that it became a story. Some people claimed their phones drifted toward pink tones, others saw patchy fading, and a few even swapped units. That's the nightmare scenario for Apple. The product is expensive, the finish is part of the identity, and the issue looks random. So what's the iPhone 18 Pro rumor? A Korean leaker, YUX1122, is claiming Apple may use an improved aluminum refinement method for iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max. Same general material direction. We've been hearing aluminum for better heat dissipation, but a different way of refining it. Lower temperatures, fewer electrochemical refining steps, and a technical note that it lowers the melting point of the mixture and prevents resin structure formation on the electrode surface. That last part sounds super niche, but it's exactly the kind of manufacturing detail that can change how a finish holds up after months of sweat, UV exposure, pocket abrasion, MagSafe heat, and whatever weird combo of sunscreen and hand sanitizer we all accidentally smear on our phones. Here's the practical takeaway: if Apple reduces corrosion and strengthens the alloy, discoloration becomes less likely. That's the claim. Higher corrosion resistance, increased alloy strength. Those two things matter because the finish on a phone isn't just color dye. It's layers, metal, surface treatment, anodization or coating steps, possible sealing layers, and then the reality of daily life. If the underlying alloy has impurities or inconsistent grain structure, coatings can wear unevenly. If electrochemical steps leave behind irregularities, you can get micro areas that react differently over time. Even tiny differences can show up as my phone is turning a different shade, and this lines up with another thread we've been hearing from the usual Apple rumor circuit. Ming-Chi Kuo has talked on and off about Apple experimenting with material choices and manufacturing partners for future Pro models. Mark Gurman has hinted Apple wants more differentiation in Pro hardware and finishes without necessarily making the phone thicker. Shrimpaplepro tends to be early on color and industrial design whispers, and Ross Young is usually display focused. But he also indirectly confirms timelines when panel orders shift, meaning if Apple's changing casing processes, that can ripple into schedules and sourcing. And if you watch Digitimes and The Alec, they're constantly pointing at Apple's supply chain priorities: yield stability, cost control, and pushing green manufacturing wins that Apple can market on stage. Now, let's talk about why this happened on iPhone 17 Pro in the first place, because Apple doesn't just forget how to color aluminum. One theory is that the issue wasn't the design, but the consistency. Different production batches, different factories, slightly different process control. Reddit even floated the idea that certain manufacturing locations had more reports than others. That sounds like internet noise, until you remember how hypersensitive these finishes can be. If one line has tiny differences in anodization timing, dye bath saturation, sealing quality, or even cleaning steps, you can get a finish that's technically within spec but ages differently, and ages differently is the polite way to put it, because customers don't want a $1,000 plus phone to develop a personality. They want it to look the same on day 200 as it did on day 2. So what does Apple's rumored refining change actually do? If you reduce the number of electrochemical refinement steps, you might reduce opportunities for contamination or uneven deposition. If you lower temperatures, you can sometimes control grain formation and reduce internal stresses. If the electrode surface avoids resin-like buildup, current flow stays more uniform, and your refining process stays consistent across batches. Consistency is everything. Apple can make the best finish in the world, but if 5% of units age strangely, that 5% becomes the headline. There's also a second angle here: durability. If the iPhone 17 Pro also caught heat for durability issues, drops, scuffs, frame wear, then a stronger alloy and better corrosion resistance helps the feel of quality too. Less pitting, fewer weird edge marks near buttons, better long-term resistance to salty sweat in summer. And yes, better heat dissipation is a real reason Apple might stick with aluminum for Pro models, especially as chips get hotter during on-device AI tasks, gaming, and sustained camera recording. If TSMC 3nm yields improve and Apple pushes more performance headroom, thermal throttling becomes the enemy. Materials matter, but I'm not letting Apple off the hook yet, because Apple also loves spinning manufacturing changes as environmental upgrades. This rumor literally says the new process could cut production costs and use aluminum more efficiently, giving Apple more flexibility and better sustainability claims. That's classic Apple. If they can fix a gate problem and get a wee reduced carbon impact slide at the same time, they will absolutely do it. Now here's where it gets fun: colors. If Apple's planning a dark cherry iPhone 18 Pro, something deep, dramatic, and obviously aimed at the crowd that wants more than silver and space whatever, then Apple cannot afford another color controversy. Dark reds are notorious. Small shifts in coating thickness or oxidation can show up fast because our eyes are super sensitive to red hue changes. So if dark cherry is real, Apple needs this refining story to be real too. Quick question: would you buy the most interesting iPhone color if there was even a small chance it could shift over time? Or are you sticking to the safe colors forever? And let's be honest, the fix people always bring up is just use a case. But that misses the point. Apple sells the finish. Apple markets the color. Apple makes you pick it at checkout like it's part of your identity. Just cover it up is not the premium experience. So how do we verify any of this when Apple announces iPhone 18 Pro in September? Apple probably won't say we fixed the iPhone 17 Pro discoloration. They almost never do. What you listen for is the wording: new aluminum manufacturing, more durable finish, improved environmental process, stronger alloy, better corrosion resistance, new refining method, anything like that. Japanese sites like Makitakara sometimes pick up on prototype material changes early. And if Nikkei Asia or Digitimes starts talking about revised aluminum orders or different process equipment, that's when the rumor stops being just a rumor. Second question: if Apple drops dark cherry, do you want them to keep it exclusive to Pro, or should Apple bring bold colors back to the standard iPhone 2? My take: this rumor is believable because it's boring in the right way. It's not 200MP camera nonsense. It's manufacturing. It's process. It's exactly where Apple would quietly fix something without admitting anything. But I'll believe it when I see real-world units after a few months, because the iPhone 17 Pro taught us that a finish can look flawless on day one and still age strangely. If Apple really has a better refining pipeline that improves alloy strength and corrosion resistance, the iPhone 18 Pro might not just look better for longer, it might finally end one of the most avoidable Applegate stories in years. And if dark cherry is coming, Apple has to nail it.